Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Daily
Hello. Good
Thread.
morning.
It's a snow day, I guess. I mean, it's snowing some places. Lakewood, it's
Not.
totally raining.
It's not. There's hardly any snow here in the Five Towns. I don't know. You have snow there wherever you are. We're not allowed to
Yeah.
say, but up in Muncie, Rockland County has snow. I don't know. It's a poor excuse for a snowstorm. I got to tell you that. But I have to tell you also that in my minion, which usually has 20 people, we only had 8 this morning.
Oh
You
wow.
know,
That's
and
not a minion. That's not a minion. You know.
I know we had to hold over 2 guys from the earlier minion, from the 7 a.m. minion
You held it.
to wait for the 8 o'clock minion. We
You
had
held
to
them
hold them
hostage.
hostage. Yeah, we held them
Uh,
hostage for a half hour. We made it real quick. But
let me ask you. Do you still? I feel like I might be the only adult that still likes snow days.
well, you know what? I was just telling somebody this morning that there's no such thing as a snow day anymore since they had remote learning in the schools. You could close the schools, but you just press a button and everybody goes on remote. The classes
So
continue. No
do
such
they
thing
do
as
that?
having school closed. It hasn't happened yet. It hasn't snowed since the end of the pandemic emergency. But theoretically, there's no such thing as a snow day anymore, because if you got to stay home, you stay home. You go to your laptop or you go to your computer and you click onto the school, and the teacher from wherever they are, maybe they're home too, they could do their lesson online. They did it for a year during the pandemic.
That's
Um,
true.
so there's no such thing as a snow day. That's a thing of the past, thrown out the
Yeah.
window, gone with the wind.
Yes. Okay. So, Abba, what do you got for the first story for today?
Well, aside from the fact there's ongoing tragedies in Israel, with 13 people being murdered by
14.
terrorists, over 14 over the last 2 weeks, related to that, I just want to say that I saw a story this morning. I think I sent it to you. That there's supposed to be a vote in the Knesset either today or tomorrow to institute the death penalty for terrorists convicted of murder. Now, Yitzchak Goldknopf, who heads the United Torah Judaism party in the Knesset, which is part of the Netanyahu coalition, said that he's going to have to vote against that. He's against the death penalty for terrorists. Okay, did you see that? Did you see the story I sent you? Do you know? Let me explain to you why he's against it. He's against it because he thinks that sometime in the future there may
Yeah.
be a leftist type of government in Israel, and a Jew might
Commit a crime.
either for some reason, no, he might kill an Arab. Okay, he might be defending himself for being attacked by an Arab, let's say, and the court might think that he used excessive force, which is a favorite term when it comes to Jews and Israel. He might use excessive force, and he might be convicted of a terrorist crime, which means that he'll get the death penalty. So, Rabbi Goldknopf, who is the head of the party, is really using a Gemara cup. He's arguing that maybe sometime in the future,
Well, he's not
right? Now you have
wrong, right? I
well,
don't think he's
well, what
wrong.
but he's saying pshat. He's learning a sugya. The fact of the matter is that the idea of a Jewish terrorist, almost in the 75 years of the state of Israel, almost doesn't exist.
I was
It,
gonna
it,
say,
it doesn't exist. What are you gonna bring up? You're gonna bring up Bar Goldstein to me?
yeah. Well, he killed what, 17 Arabs?
Listen, you know what? Maybe if he would have lived, he wouldn't have been killed. He may have been not convicted of murder because his head snapped. He went insane. He was insane. If you're insane, you're not liable for the death penalty. That was an act. That was an insane act. You know. So Rabbi Goldknopf from the United Torah Judaism, who's part of the coalition, is going to vote against instituting the death penalty for terrorists, because sometime in the future, even though it's hardly ever happened like that, except for one case over the last 30 years, that unjustifiably a Jew killed an Arab, and they're going to be found as he killed him. He killed him.
Well,
Maybe he'll
No,
maybe.
it happened. It happened a couple years ago. Happened just a few years ago after the 3 boys that were kidnapped were killed. A few Israeli boys, they burnt an Arab kid alive and they killed him. So this is
Yeah, but
that.
you see, but so it has first of all, it has to qualify as terrorism. Okay, I'm not talking about a murderer. There are plenty. Unfortunately, there are plenty murderers in jail for life in Israel and in America and other countries. There's plenty of people convicted of murder. It's not just stam murder; it's terrorism.
Well, how do you how
Okay,
do you how do you make
it's
that
a
difference?
nafkamina. That's up to the court to decide. That's up to the judge to decide. In Israel, by the way, there's no jury trials. There's no such thing as a jury like in the United States. Um, if you had a jury in Israel, no case would ever be decided. They could never reach a conclusion. So you have a judge that makes these decisions based on the evidence. Rabbi, so the United Torah Judaism is going to vote against instituting the death penalty for terrorists because maybe someday, in 100 years from now or 50 years from now, if Mashiach doesn't come by then, which he most likely will, they're going to find a Jew that's convicted of terror, and they're going to have to give him the death penalty. It's very far fetched, is
So you
the
don't
point
like
that
it?
I'm trying to
Okay.
make. But here's the good news. The good news is that they don't need his votes in order to pass the law in the
Okay.
Knesset, because Avigdor Lieberman, who hates baby Netanyahu with a passion, but he hates terrorists more. So his party, which has an equal number of seats in the Knesset as UTJ, is going to vote in favor of the legislation.
Amazing.
Yisrael Beitenu, I'm sorry, right. Yisrael Beitenu is Avigdor Lieberman's party. I knew that, but
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, sounds very interesting. We have another interesting story that I'd like to discuss that came over our desk this morning. Okay, and this story
what's that?
is via Yeshiva World. The title reads "Unprecedented." Torah Umasora calls for a major change to yeshiva schedules. Okay, so listen up, everybody. Major change coming to yeshiva schedules. Torah Umasora has released a letter outlining a plan to have yeshivas end their zmanim earlier in the summer and begin their new zman earlier in the fall. The letter states that the proposal originally presented at a recent meeting of the Vad Rosh Yeshiva of Torah Umasora would resolve the issue of there being very limited Elul Zman in years such as the upcoming one, in which Rosh Chodesh falls out early. So I think what they're describing right now is, a year in which is coming up, which Rosh Chodesh Elul falls out on like August 17th. That's kind
Right.
of like smack in the middle of the summer. And many a time camps don't end until later than that. So the letter notes that such a schedule makes it difficult for boys to properly learn about Yom Tovim. Children and parents are in vacation mode until Slichas, and there is too much unstructured time for Bachrim after camps end. To resolve this, Torah Umasora is proposing major scheduling changes to yeshiva schedules, as can be seen in the letter proposed outline below. Okay, so again, they go through this issue in this letter, and I think what it says here, what they're suggesting for 2023 is Yeshiva / Beis Yaakov. They end school. That should be June 19th, and camp begin
That's not early. June
and,
19th.
and camp begins on June 22nd. Meaning there's not a lot of time
3
in
days.
between
3 days.
Rosh Chodesh Elul, and camp should end August 15th. So it's a
So
7-week summer.
are you saying that the schedule should change based on how Rosh Chodesh Elul comes out? Because this past year,
That's what they want to
Rosh
do.
Hashanah was Rosh Chodesh Elul was mamish at the end of August.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It was very late. And they're
I think Erev
suggesting
Rosh Hashanah was September 29th.
right.
So you're going to change it every year? I had a different idea, I think, that we should discuss relative to this.
One second, I just want to finish. Let me finish going through their proposed stuff. So that's for 2023. Rosh Chodesh Elul is August 17th, August 18th, and Yeshiva begins August 28th, and Beis Yaakov begins August 30th.
That's not such a big change.
I don't know if that's one second. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's the proposed or if that's what's currently the schedule. That might be currently the schedule. 2024, Yeshiva Beis Yaakov ends June 25th. Camp begins July 2nd. Camp ends August 22nd. Rosh Chodesh El is September 3rd, September 4th. Beis Yaakov and Yeshiva begins September 3rd. They're
I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to align the scheduling so that it makes sense, so that the yeshivas are in session, all yeshivas, not just the yeshivas in Eretz Yisrael or the Batei Midrashim here in America that start
Right.
Chodesh Elul. Sometimes, like you said, Chodesh Elul comes and goes, and people are in Orlando at Disney World, L'Kavod Chodesh Elul, when we start to blow shofar. So they want to realign that. I
Yeah,
thought a long time ago that we might be better off with just like instead of camp for 2 months, um, have have school, have camp for 10 months and school for 2 months. Because
that sounds beautiful.
I think no, not so you can have more activities. I think in a camp environment, I think the potential exists for kids to absorb more and learn better in
I
that kind of
agree.
an environment. So
I
you see,
agree.
and that'll make a lot of kids happy. I mean, every place I turn, Baruch Hashem, I have a few grandchildren in all kinds of yeshivas, and they have one sentiment. They can't stand school. They don't like school.
And
I
they love
mean, they
camp.
study, they do well, they learn well, they're doing well in their other subjects. But when you have a conversation with them casually, so you like school? No, I hate it.
Mm.
I hate it. I hate it from every direction. Okay, I mean, why do you hate school? Because you have to go to school. That's why. So if you want to make changes already, if Torah Masorah wants to make changes already, so why don't you just make camp 10 months a year?
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
that
Now
I
I
don't I don't think you're suggesting something that's so possible. It's a little bit extreme.
Well, first of all, the people that run camps will be on my side because their camp fees will be like 10 times or at
Their
least
camp
5 times
fees
more.
their camp fees
It'll
will
be
be
five times more.
what tuition is, and tuition will be what the camp fees are.
And
Anyways,
those
the
canteens, man,
issues,
whoo.
yeah, the issues they bring up are, children are in vacation mode up until slichas, and they're losing really the hachana for Elul, and so they're suggesting all boys camps need to end before Rosh Chodesh Elul, because another issue they bring up is that counselors, a camp must have counselors who are B'nai Torah, and the B'nai Torah are in yeshivas that start Elul. So I remember in my time in camp, a lot of times camp would go for 4, 5, 6 days, even past Rosh Chodesh Elul, and counselors would have to leave early. Counselors would leave camp, and they would be in
So
yeshiva.
is that the main motivation for this change? So that the camp counselors don't have to run out in the middle of the so-called second trip and go to Eretz Yisrael, and then leaves the camp with having to scamper around for staff.
Well, you know what? That in itself is worth it, because um,
I mean, I would think Torah Masorah is making decisions for educational reasons, not to accommodate the camp schedule.
you know what? I mean, camp is part of education, though. These kids are spending 2 months, 8 weeks, crucial time in a camp. Um, there's no reason why camps and schools can't work together to make sure the schedule works.
I
You
once
know?
heard I once heard a Rav say, I'm not going to say his name, but I heard him myself. I heard him speak. I didn't hear the story from somebody else. I heard him say that as a young man, he was 19 or 20 years old. He was working in a hotel in the Catskills as a waiter or a busboy or something like that. And it was Slichas night, and he was working in a hotel. And they had two comedians as part of the show on the Saturday night of Labor Day weekend. And it was also Slichas night. So he said that after the first comedian, they made an announcement they're going to rearrange the tables for say slichas in between comedians, and then they're going to have the second comedian come on after slichas. And he said to himself right then and there, "I'm not living my life between comedians. I'm not living my life between shows." And he went on to become a very high profile Rav in a big city in a big kahila. So
Yeah.
there's something to be said to um, reorganize things in such a way that it makes more sense and addresses the way people think and feel and so on. What else
Well,
you
yeah.
got?
So the in yesterday's episode, we reported about that young Jewish man who was killed near Yericho and in the West Bank, and it came out late last night that his name was Ilan Ganelis. He was an American who was killed in a West Bank attack by Palestinian terrorists. I know Rabbi Ari Ben Shushan. He was a rebbe of this boy Elon, and he took he took to various, social media platforms, including the Meaningful Minute app, to say Elon was one of my most precious of people. What is one of my most precious of people? Elon was my student since 2014, and he quickly became a friend and close confidant. I am broken, broken, broken. Elon was at my Shabbos table just a few weeks ago, and now now I can't describe the immense loss I am feeling. Hashem Yikom Adamov. It's a terrible loss. I know Anthony Blinken took to Twitter to confirm that it was an American citizen. He didn't say that we condemn the attack, but he confirmed that it was an American citizen.
I mean, by the way, that means nothing. That means nothing. What do you think it should mean? First of all,
obviously
what do you think
nothing.
It should mean?
Obviously, do you know why it means nothing? Because, Malky Roth, who was killed 15 plus years ago in a Sparrow pizza bombing, and she was an American citizen, her killer is still alive. Her killer is still alive and on the loose in Jordan or Syria, wherever she's hiding.
She's being protected by Jordan, and he's made all kinds of efforts to bring this person to justice.
So what does it mean? So what does it mean that he's an American citizen?
It means nothing. It absolutely means nothing. It means that could you try to forget about it as soon as possible? That's
right.
That's what it means. They can't. They won't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. And even the announcements that they make, that only come out to say that they're condemning terrorism, but Israel should also have to restrain reprisals or revenge attacks. So, I mean, what do they have to mention that for? I mean, I saw a video of the young people that wrecked they did a pretty nice job of wrecking the place, torching cars. Did you see that video?
Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh about it. It's a serious matter, and things shouldn't spiral down to that extent. But they did quite a comprehensive job. And you know what? That should be a deterrent to the leadership of these Arab communities, not to live. Everyone just wants to live in peace. What are you killing your neighbors for? What are you killing people that give you a good life, give you good jobs, give you places to live, protect you? But it's just business of this hostility and this anger that's they're imbued with from the time that they're born is just unacceptable.
Well,
and
all the while,
and it's not and it's not right. Listen, Taylor Force, something called the Taylor Force Act. You know, what Taylor Force Act is. Taylor Force is an American that was killed by terrorists in Tel Aviv a few years ago, and the U.S. Congress passed a law. It's law. It's on the books in America that any money that the United States of America transfers to the Palestinian Authority cannot be used to compensate terrorists for committing murder against innocent people.
Against American,
the Taylor Force Act.
Against the American or against anyone?
Against Americans, against anyone. No, they shouldn't use against anyone. It doesn't make a differentiation between Americans and Israelis. It just so happens Taylor Force was an American, and he was murdered because he had a beard, and the Arab terrorists thought he looked like a Jew, so he killed him. Okay, and America transfers hundreds of millions of dollars to the Palestinian Authority every year, and a good deal of that money is used to pay the families of terrorists while their child or a brother or father or uncle is in jail. They pay them compensation for having either murdered or injured Jews. Now, they get more money if they murdered somebody and less money if they injured somebody. That's why they're taught how to shoot and where to stab, because there's a bigger payday for murder. The Biden administration, even though there's a law against transferring the money to the Palestinians who compensate terrorists, the Biden administration ignores the act and still transfers the money, knowing that it's being paid to Palestinian families who have terrorists in their family.
Well, speaking of the Biden administration, all the while this is going on, Joe Biden at a Black History Month reception yesterday. This is him.
I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
What you just saw and heard is actually Joe Biden. He said, "I'm not smiling. I may be a white boy, but I am not stupid. I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid." So many people on Twitter are saying he's 50% right. He is white, but he is stupid. So
Well, you know what? It would be a problem if he was in such cognitive decline. You know,
why
he
is it
has
okay? Why is it okay to be disparaging and racist against white people like that?
because they have to tolerate whatever he dishes up, because the Democrats are very thin on talent. If Joe Biden, who's 80 years old and is talking about seriously running for president in 2 years when he'll be 82, he should live and be well. That means he'll finish his second term when he's 86. He's already functioning in an impaired way.
I want to talk
But
about the statement though, and this is happening all around the country nowadays, which is it's open season on white people. It's open season because you're not black and you're not Asian and you're not even like Jewish. You know, I think Jews are in a different category as a minority. But if you're if you're a white person in America, you are public enemy number one in the movies, in the TV shows, in the media, in the news. People can say whatever they want about you. They can say whatever they want about you. And I don't think it's right.
On the police shows, I don't watch any of them because they're always the same thing and a lot of violence. On the FBI shows, which I think one of the TV networks is full of FBI shows, the serious criminals are always white guys, and people investigating them or catching them are either Muslims or African Americans. It's the way to communicate a message. They're trying to achieve equity.
I'll tell you even further. You know, I was watching something the other day, and it was about a hospital, and this medical director was white, and his goal, he wanted to achieve equality or equity in amongst the hospital and the staff. He was saying stats that just don't add up, and he went to one of the other doctors who was black, and he said, "How can I solve the equity issue here?" And she said, "Well, it starts with you. You're part of the problem. You're the medical director and you're white." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. You know who should be the medical director?"
My God, look. Yeah, who should be the medical director?
He said, "You know who should be the medical director? You should, because you're black." And to me, that's the most racist thing in the world, because the only reason she's qualified to be the medical director is because she's black. That's what qualifies someone. That's what qualifies. He can't be the medical director because he's white. That's systemic racism.
Tucker Carlson had a show last week about a cargo plane that on their website talk about how they have made a lot of changes to have a more equitable distribution of who their staff is. They're hiring more minorities. Anyway, there was a pilot who was black, and it was a cargo plane, so there were only 2 other passengers in the plane, but the guy was not equipped. He wasn't trained properly to handle an emergency in the cockpit. And there was an emergency, and he didn't know how to handle it. He panicked, and the plane crashed, and he died along with 2 other people. And Tucker says that, listen, this happens when the number one criteria for hiring somebody, no matter what the industry is. I mean, are you going to sit there actually and say, I only want, if you go into the hospital and they send a Russian doctor into your room, or a white guy, a doctor, you say, no, please get me a black doctor. Is that what? And they're gonna pull somebody out of second year medical school because that's all they may have at the moment. I mean, you want competence. You want people that are qualified. You want people that are efficient. You want people flying planes that know how to fly planes, not because of the color of their skin.
Well, we see
it's
that,
so absurd.
And it's seeped all the way into government. You know, in government, you have people in positions. Could we go further than our very own vice president, Kamala Harris, who is probably the most unqualified person in the last, I don't know, century to hold the vice president position.
You know, but they got you trapped, because when you say that, you make yourself vulnerable to being accused of saying that because she's a woman of color, because she's black.
It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with her intelligence. Even the black community doesn't like her. Even women don't like her. It has nothing to do with her skin color.
Nahi, look at Nikki Haley. She both parents are Indian. They were born in India. She was born here in the United States. She was running for president of the United States. She's a former UN ambassador. She's a former governor of South Carolina. And the liberals are picking her apart, even though she's a woman of color. So it really they're using skin color and race and religion as a way to promote their leftist liberal agenda. So when they say equity, it's really not about that. Remember when Joe Biden was running for president and he said to a black guy, there was a radio host in New York who said that he's not sure how he's going to vote. And the guy said, and Biden said to him, if you're voting for Trump, then you ain't black.
Yeah, I think I think there's nothing more racist than a white person that is trying to not come across as racist, like doing things such as like depriving yourself and trying to give something to a black person because you feel like they're, you know what, America's a great place, and I'm sure there is racism that exists. Black people are doing great. Many minorities are doing great. Yes, we suffer from many hate crimes. As a Jew, we are the number one target of hate crimes this past year and many years. But you know what? There are many black people who are successful not because of their skin color, not in spite of their skin color are they not successful, because they are amazing at what they do. Whether that's in law, medical field, athletes, there are incredible people in every field and from every walk of life and every minority, and it has nothing to do with skin color. It has nothing to do with any of that, and it shouldn't be made a story. We shouldn't be giving people positions. Oh, because this person is this gender and this person is that, so we have to fill a quota. We have to have. It's not about that. Just have the most qualified people having the positions.
Well, that's the difference between equality and equity. Okay, up until recently, equality make sure everyone has an equal opportunity to advance and to achieve something, regardless of their religion or their skin color, which is really a ridiculous way to judge people. But equality wasn't working out so well. So, starting with the Biden administration, they resorted to equity. Equity means they put you're number one. Okay, I don't know who's trailing in the NBA. I guess the Nets are behind the Knicks now in the NBA, right? In the Eastern Division. Let's put the Nets on top. Yeah, I think the Knicks are doing great now, but
yeah,
let's see what happens. But if the Nets have theoretically, if the Nets have, I think all black players. I'm not sure if they do or they don't. I'm just using it as an example. Then let's put them in first place. That's equity. Equality means that you have good ball players that know how to play and know how to win. That's the difference. Anyway, what are you doing Purim? What are you dressing up as on Purim? You and your family. Did you decide yet?
So I think I'm going the doctor path, and I'll tell you why. It's very important when choosing a Purim outfit, and we'll get into this maybe in an episode right before Purim. You have to take into account the comfort level. You got to be comfortable. You don't want to be wearing a costume on Purim like that is uncomfortable the whole day. You're running around. So a doctor, the scrubs, long white coat, it's extremely comfortable. You can wear Crocs. It's the one day of year you can dress like an absolute lunatic and walk around, and everyone's fine with it. So I urge everybody, when it comes to choosing their outfits for Purim, you may be waking up a little bit late because ordering from Amazon, I'm sure they're backed up in this category now. But choose something comfortable. You thinking you want to be that British guard that stands out the Queen's Palace? Let's be real. You're not going to want to wear a suit and one of those big furry hats the entire day. So choose responsibly. Don't dress your kid up like an actual puppy dog with a mask on the whole day. Choose comfort over everything else. How about you? What are you dressing up as?
So you're saying you're saying that you shouldn't dress up as an astronaut, right? It's too complex, too complicated, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't remember you ever dressing up ever.
I don't think I have.
I think you dress up what you're wearing now is usually what you wear.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I don't. It's not part of my. I don't consider it to be the top priority to celebrate Purim.
It's not your persona
to dress up.
I think
I don't know. Maybe when I was a kid.
I think on our Monday episode on Tinus Esther, I think we should be dressed up.
Should dressed up. I should get like a mustache and a beard or something.
Yeah,
something like that. Okay,
I feel like maybe we can dress you up as somebody. But yeah, just choose comfort. There's nothing more comfortable than scrubs. Scrubs are one of the most comfortable things in the world. So
okay, listen, the doctor's doing surgery. He's got to have maximum comfort.
Absolutely.
He's got to do his thing, and he can't be worrying about that his shoes are on too tight, or that his shoes are untied, and he trips in the operating room, and God knows what he's going to knock over.
What do you think is going to be the most dressed up outfit this year? I'm going to make a prediction, and usually the people who want to get super super creative, they're going to think, okay, well, what's going on in the world, and let me try to dress up with something.
Vladimir, okay, Zelensky, right?
I
Zelensky's going to be number one.
I was going to go Zelensky. I know Nissen, our producer over there in the studio, he has a Zelensky sweatshirt. He wears this green sweater. Is he wearing it today?
You're dressing up as Zelensky? No.
Sometimes he does.
He's wearing a Zelensky sweater today.
He is? He's wearing the green one?
This is my Fetterman sweater, not my Zelensky sweater.
It's not what?
This is my Fetterman sweater.
Uh-huh. So, but I think a Zelensky mask is probably the most popular. When Donald Trump was president, that was probably one of the most popular costumes to go as Donald Trump, right?
Right. So, and I think
the Trump hair color, the wig of the hair color.
I think you'll see a lot of. I think you'll see a lot of people wearing the green crew neck with cargo pants for the Zelensky look. I think you'll see a lot of that.
You know why he dresses like that? You know why? It's all Hollywood.
He wants to make it look like he's going to war himself.
Yeah,
he's going to battle.
He wants you to think that he's in the arena where the war is being fought, and it's absolutely ridiculous. He's the only world leader that wherever he goes, whoever he meets with, he doesn't wear a suit and tie like a mensch. He's dressed like what he was before he became prime minister. You know what he was before he became president? He was a comedian before he became president.
Well, you know what? Good for him, because he's taking this, what I'm saying, seriously. Comfort over everything.
So you think Biden should be in his pajamas most of the day? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to see Joe Biden in his pajamas, no. And the other outfit I think is going to be very popular this year, being that the Queen of England passed away this year. I think that you're going to see a lot of queens. I think you're going to see a lot of queens.
Okay, what about, I think I wrote in an article that I wrote this week, which is coming out Thursday in the 510 Jewish Times. I have the new PPP. You know, for the last few years, PPP was a payroll protection program. Now it's pre-Purim preparation. So there's been a big shift in the market. Both PPPs. I can't tell how you're reacting because your face is frozen on the screen here. But I was discussing the preparation. I think the limos are going to be out in force this year, and it was pretty toned down over the last few years. 1 year at the height of the pandemic, it was absolutely usher. You know, and then last year was more, but not up to what the way it usually is. I think everybody will be back in full force this year. The limos, the vans, the stretch limos, the cars, the Ubers. They're going to be very busy driving Yeshiva guys around to collect money.
We're going to create a daily thread Purim contest, and people will be able to submit their costumes, and they'll win a prize. And we're gonna judge on creativity. But we'll talk more about that tomorrow.
So people should submit their pictures. Actually,
not yet. Not yet. It's not Purim yet. So don't submit any pictures yet.
Submit pictures on Purim, and then we can show them the day after Purim.
We'll get into the details closer to Purim. But anyways, today this is the Daily Thread, the last day of February 28th, Tuesday. Nachi Gordon signing off from the Daily Thread,
Have a great day.
Hope to see you all tomorrow.